Hey everyone, this document is all about how to select quality literature for young children. And we're going to go over the ideas of what quality means and how to make good selections of quality children literature. The first thing that you really want to look at is the content or the message of the story. Is the poem or the book about a familiar subject that children already have some background knowledge in? Is the poem or the book going to be interesting to the child? And how do you know? First, you have to know the children in your class or group and know what their interests are. Is the poem or book written in mature syntax? And is the syntax organized? So when I'm trying to remember what syntax means, I always think of Yoda because Yoda always plays with the organization of words in his sentence structure. When you're looking at or reviewing a book for young children, take a look at the syntax. Syntax is the sentence structure. Mature syntax means it is accurate, it is appropriate. Does it contain new vocabulary words children are learning? Providing new vocabulary and reading stories to children is one of the best and natural ways to provide new information and new vocabulary. Another thing you want to think about is the content understandable by the young child? Is it something that they can relate to? And does the poem or story represent the real world accurately? And by this, I mean the content as well as the illustrations. We are looking and noticing, do the illustrations match the text that's on the page? Next is the form. Is the text appropriate length for the intended audience? You're clearly not going to read a chapter book to a group of toddlers. Their attention span is maybe 1 minute at a time. So you might read a chapter book to a group of third graders, but you'll choose a shorter book for a group of 3-year-olds. You might choose a shorter picture book for even young preschoolers and maybe a longer picture book for kindergartners. You are gauging the length of text to make sure that it's appropriate for your intended audience. Notice if the text follows a nice flow when you read it aloud. When you read aloud, do you stumble or is it easy to read? Are there opportunities for repetition and rhyme? Is there onomatopoeia? And that just means words that sound like what they are. An example is swish, swish, or buzz. Next, you want to look at the pictures and are they interesting and artistic? Are the pictures large enough for a group of children to see if you're doing a short story read aloud with a group of 18 preschoolers or 22 kindergartners? The kid that's sitting in the back needs to be able to see the pictures just as well as the children up front. Are the pictures clear? Is there one image per page? If there's more than one image per page, is it clear? Is it understandable? And again, does it match the words that are on the page? Emergent readers and beginning readers are using the pictures on the page as context clues when they are trying to decode the words. You want to make sure that the pictures match the words on the page and that they are realistic. The best way to know that a picture and a story is realistic is if it's a photograph. But next you'll want to make sure that the illustrations are realistic in nature. You don't want pictures that are too cartoony or are too abstract that they don't match the story. You want to look at the effect. Will the story potentially have a positive effect upon children? Does it support language, intellectual development, personality development, or social and moral development? We will get into each of these different developmental effects during the quarter and what they mean. Does the book help children build accurate concepts and clarify any misconceptions about the real world? Does the literature avoid portraying racist and sexist behavior and or attitudes? We will talk more in depth about what to really analyze children's literature so that we're avoiding any of these themes that are racist, sexist, or have biased attitudes. Ask yourself, does the literature honor culture and linguistic differences? Here's a tip if you don't know what I mean by this. I know that Dr. Seuss is a well-loved favorite. I've read Dr. Seuss books to my own kids for years, but if you pick up a Spanish copy of Red Fish, Blue Fish, what's the fun part about Dr. Seuss books? It's that they rhyme. But the second you translate these books into a different language, they don't rhyme anymore. So that's just something to think about. Similarly, reflect on the literature potential to have a negative effect upon children. Does it create fear? Does it show violence? Does it portray any unforeseeable situations? Does it stereotype populations that people visit? Does it create confusion through time sequences? Are there dream states? Is it a distortion of reality? These are things you want to consider when you are selecting quality children literature.